Hello model citizens! Welcome back to 494 Garage. I'm DS the Plastic Mechanic, and in today's episode we're going to take a look at some of my favourite models that I saw at the Southern Expo. That's one of the UK's biggest regional model shows. Now before we get into the footage from that, I just want to make a quick little announcement that this is the next build. Now if you've been following the series, you know that we're building a diorama. I've just finished doing the Fujimi Garage and Tools Remix 28, which came out pretty good in my opinion, but I've only got one car, so that's not really going to work for a diorama. So this is what we're going to do next. Lamborghini Aventador. This one's going to be something kind of special, something that you're really going to like. I don't think it's going to be like any of the other ones that I've seen on YouTube so far, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. Without any further ado, however, let's get straight into the Southern Expo 2019. Now, I don't think you clicked on this video to see images of crowds and vendors, so let's get straight into some of the models that really inspired me to get building in the first place. I first saw these trucks at the World IPMS competition in Telford last year, and the scratch building and weathering on these really impressed me. Once again I didn't get a chance to meet the builder, but I'm glad I got to see these models again. The mud trail under this tractor looks great in person, so if you're a fan of textures, you should really try and get to one of these shows and see some of these models for yourself. I know my footage doesn't really do justice to these Formula 1 cars, but they had some great deco work in my opinion, and they deserve their spot. I know this is a car modelling channel, but the young lady that painted all these film and fantasy models has skills I can only dream of right now. This model in particular had my jaw on the floor. I have no idea how she painted realistic stockings, but she did, and she gets my utmost respect for it. She had dozens of models on display in all sorts of scales, so having spoken to her briefly, I'm a bit embarrassed I don't have her name to post up on here. If you know this modeller's name, please leave a comment below so I can give her a proper shout out in a future video. There's the beautiful young lady herself. You know this face? Leave a comment. Now this has to be the worst footage in the whole video, but this tiny build was one of my favourites, so I'm leaving it in anyway. Anyone who's seen Monty Python's Holy Grail would have got a kick out of this one. Now this was another builder who brought a whole table of models to display. I'm not a big fan of military models, but his figures were painted and based so realistically I had to get some shots. Once again though, I'm embarrassed not to be able to put a name to the work, but hopefully one of you guys will leave a comment so I can add that to a future video. Okay, so we're on to the cars. You probably heard me say it too many times already, but once again I need your comments to find this builder. They're the great display, with classic cars, fire trucks, dragsters, hot rods. Great work, and definitely the cleanest models on display outside of the competition room. Next, the little diorama. A very unusual garage layout, but a great build with lots of details, and a pretty rare Austin-Healey Sprite model taking the centre stage. Now if you attended this show, you'll probably remember this display. Dozens of models, some heavily customised and some box stock, but all of them looking smart and well built. You know you're doing something unique when you start hydro dipping a Mustang. This builder's table really made me feel at home because of all of the variety in the models on display. Unfortunately, most of mine are still in boxes, but we're going to change all of that right here on 494 Garage. Yes, that is the 112 stang to go with the 124 scale hydro dipped one. And yes, it was shining like that in real life. Now, if you've seen my video on last year's London Plastic Modelling Show, you'll know that all these models are by Ali Reza Neuken. Fantasy robots, all scratch built from recycled materials. I also got another chance to see his Star Wars battle droid and E5 blaster here, but now he's added some voice activation too. Okay, it's not cars, but how can I not be impressed by that?
All military forces have been eliminated. The Viceroy will be angry. The Viceroy will be angry. All military forces have been eliminated.
Onto the competition room, and this 112 scale Indy car by Steve Wigglesworth was an instant eye catcher. The details are really good, until you realise that the whole thing was scratch built by Steve from aluminium. Right down to the tyres are aluminium. Now if anything can bruise this builder's ego, it's seeing a totally scratch built car. Built during lunch times, at work. But Steve is an engineer by trade and it took 2 years to build this little beauty, so I'm getting over it. Steve won overall silver for this build, but considering his was the only scratch build entered, I'm sure a shared gold wouldn't have been out of place. Next we've got a custom rear wheel drive VTEC Mini Cooper. This little stunner was a lot better than my footage, but you really have to come down to a show to get the full impact. A properly beautiful build and inspiration to finish my own rear wheel drive Mark 1 Golf conversion. Next, a Honda CB750 sports bike. I've got this kit, so I know it's built pretty stock, but I really like the addition of a working front light. I still can't work out where the builder hid the battery though. Next, trucks and work vehicles. Some dirty, some clean, but all of them built to a very high standard that I only hope I can get to one day. Now, onto the gold medal winner, a 112 scale Fiat Abarth created from a Fiat 500 kit. This was built by serial gold medal winner Rafał Sikorski. This is the most complex build I've had the pleasure of seeing yet. We're talking major kit alterations, ridiculous attention to detail to the engine and the body, handmade photo etch, handmade decals, working fabric roof, full interior upholstery. The man made rubber seals and spark plugs. This is another model that if you can get to see it for yourself, you really should. And finally, my personal favourite build from the show, Alan Marks' 1/24th scale garage diorama. Alan's work is just for enjoyment as he doesn't buy into the competitive side of model building, but he gets 2 thumbs up from me. I thought I'd just finished building some of the same diorama parts in my Fujimi Garage and Tools build, but then Alan let me know that all his tools were scratch built. I don't think my words or even my pictures are going to express how many details were in this diorama. From the tools, to the weathering, the garage library, to the cups of tea, to the plumbing, to the wiring. Everything was built beautifully, and this diorama is now a huge inspiration to me. This wasn't Alan's only diorama on display, and you can see he's got a whole bunch of techniques up his sleeve. His rust work was super realistic. Along with his dioramas, he also brought along a couple dozen car builds. It's a shame you can't see inside these vehicles because there was a lot of detail inside as well as outside. Ever wanted to see a lifted Sierra Cosworth on truck tyres? Here you go. Alan's work is clean and clean again, and he's got a kit collection that makes even mine look small, so I'll be catching up with him as soon as our timetables can align. One more for the connoisseurs. This is the famous Land Rover of Steeplejack Fred Dibner. Search Fred Dibner on YouTube and you'll see just how perfect this rendition is. Alright all you plastic people, that's all the footage I've got for this 2019 Southern Expo, but I hope you enjoyed that little review and I hope you'll be back to follow up on this Lamborghini build. I've got lots more model show reviews planned and a diorama to finish up, so subscribe if you haven't done so already, and if you leave a like on this video, I'm sure it will make your next build at least twice as good. I've got a modelling playlist linked at the end of this video, but for now, I'm DS the Plastic Mechanic, you've been watching 494 Garage, and until the next episode, I'm out.
We got Ferraris, we got Porsches, we got Lambos, and of course if you want fours, and we got racers, vans and cars. Chevys, JDMs, Mercedes, British bikes, the crazy 80s, and there's so much more at 494 Garage. La 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 la. La 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 la.